Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, here in the forum of the group exhibit Hydrogen Fuel Cells and Batteries. We are very honored to have with us right now here the Commissioner for Energy and Vice President of the European Commission, Maroš Šefčovič. I'm very happy to have you here on stage, and we will talk about the EU Green Battery Alliance. So you might have a question, so feel free to ask also if you want to. And we have the discussion right now about the EU Green Battery Alliance. Commissioner Šefčovič, on October 11th last year, you launched the EU Battery Alliance. What is its purpose?
I think the purpose was to get all that good qualities of European industry together. Because when I was looking at the issue of energy storage of the battery, it reminded me a little bit of a situation we had in European aviations in the 60s. A lot of small manufacturers of the planes, but there was nobody to make the big plane. And in the end, the Airbus Alliance was created. So I gave to this project the first name Airbus for batteries, because I believe that we have all that manufacturing skills, capabilities, we have excellent scientists, and in the future I'm sure that when today the most precious and pricey part of the combustion cars is the engine, in the future it would be battery, it would be software. So if you want to be leader, as we are today in the automotive industry, very clearly we need to be very strong on batteries, on software, making sure that the best cars are manufactured in Europe.
So you aim to become the Franz Josef Strauss of the green battery then in Europe?
I think that you added that very important adjective, green, because when I was looking how our economies are different and what is our competitive edge, it's the fact that we have a strong popular support of our people for fight against climate change. They're very unhappy about air pollution, and they are very supportive of what we do, I would say, in clean tech, green tech, and therefore I think that we also have a possibility to develop the concept of the green batteries. What it would be? Of course, this would be the batteries which we want to manufacture with sustainable raw materials. Of course, we want to use as much as possible renewable energy. And of course, we want to ask our designers that from the moment one when you are thinking about how this battery of the future would look like, think about recycling, reuse. So once the battery already did its job, that it could be then used further. And then, of course, as you know, we go now through the deep transformation of our energy system. So we would like these batteries to be the two-way batteries, meaning, of course, they could be charged and power the car. But we believe that when the car is idling in the garage or in some kind of parking lot, and we see that the peak price of the battery is going up, that the car could become a little businessman. They can sell the excessive batteries to use the peak price and even to earn some money for the owner. So this is, I would say, the new concept which we are proposing, and I'm quite glad to report to the public and to you that the EU Battery Alliance is live and kicking. We have 80 very important industrial actors working together, suggesting what concretely we should do, and we had already the first good project which are getting support not only from the national governments but also from the European Investment Bank, and this is a trend we want to support and which will continue.
Let's focus a little bit on the green aspect of the Battery Alliance. You mentioned already the raw materials are limited that we need right now. It's cobalt and lithium, especially they are connected to environmental concerns, land use conflicts, even child labor. What raw materials do you have in mind?
Yeah, I think, of course, currently this dominant technology is based on cobalt and lithium. We are learning, of course, about these raw materials more and more every day. So I was quite glad to learn that we have these raw materials even here in Europe. Probably not in the same volumes and quantities as in Congo, but we have them, and we have to develop where it would be feasible and commercially viable to extract them. Then, of course, if it comes to the green aspect of how to use the raw materials, we believe a lot in recycling. I was told by our industry that if we would just take all our old samples which we have somewhere in our apartments, in the drawers and elsewhere, and we would recycle them. So we would have enough of the precious metals to manufacture 4 million of car batteries. So I mean, we just have to, use what Europe is very strong at: recycling, reuse, and to really put it on the new level. And yesterday, when I was at the opening ceremony of Hanover Messe, I was sitting next to the Professor Ederghoff, who is the head of Fraunhofer Institute, and was telling me that how they are already experimenting with different plastics to be used in the batteries. We have very innovative company, Saft, from France, which are already manufacturing the solid state next generation batteries for satellites, for aviation. So there is, I would say, a lot of new things going on. We just need the scale. We need to have, I would say, very clear statement for our OEMs, for the car manufacturers. Yes, we want to have green batteries. Yes, we want to have the batteries which will be manufactured in Europe. And then I believe with that scale, we can actually deliver very high quality products here in Europe.
The recycling aspect is very interesting, I would say, but then we have the raw materials again, okay, using it again. But as far as I can see, there is no real viable concept for recycling lithium-ion batteries at the moment. Wouldn't that be a wonderful approach for the European Commission to help studies and projects for new recycling?
Absolutely. I think it's one of the, I would say, key components of this green battery concept, and it's something what we support a lot, be it under the European Battery Alliance or our support for circular economy, because I think here we really have a lot of possibilities how to use these precious materials better, and how to develop the strong business case for it. So I think that clearly recycling would be one of the key components of this green label for the European batteries. And I think that when the customers in Europe or the worldwide would go for zero emission cars, which would be more and more in the future, so I think they will also think twice, how this car was manufactured. Was the renewable energy used? Is it really a clean car? What was the carbon intensity for manufacturing the steel or manufacturing the batteries? And all this, I think, plays into the favor of Europe. And I think we just simply have to use that early investment that we made in a low carbon economy and use it very much here when we will manufacturing batteries and clean cars.
Right. And as you said, manufacturing the batteries, it's not very green at the moment. I know a study from the Swedish Ministry of Environment has released last year that the production of 1 kilowatt-hour storage capacity in a battery consumes approximately 150 to 200 kilograms of carbon dioxide equivalents. This is way too much.
Yeah.
We have to come down with that.
Absolutely. I think that has to be one of the features, because if you would have also the fully electrified cars, which would be just powered by not very clean electricity, I mean, these cars would still do much better if it comes to NOxes or these fine particles and air pollution. But of course, it wouldn't do the trick we would like to see. And therefore, our proposal for 30% less greenhouse gas emission by 2030 has this incremental curve, because we believe that by then 70% of electricity in Europe would be clean, would be low carbon. So then, of course, you would have this, I would say, two things coming together: to have a clean, low carbon electricity, and you would have clean cars which would be powered by this clean electricity. So you would actually double the impact of the industrial policies which we are promoting right now. And that's a bit of a long-term view how we want to change not only the world of energy, but the world of mobility in Europe. And I believe it would be very interesting for the global partners as well.
Commissioner, it's still a very ambitious goal. As far as I know, 9 of 10 battery cells are produced at the moment in Asian markets, like producers like Samsung, Panasonic, CATL from China. Well, it was a different story with competing with United States in the Airbus industry. Yeah. But now we have to compete with China and Asia, and this is going to be tough to become cleaner than cheaper than them.
Of course, it would be tough, and therefore I'm glad that we finally started, because my personal assumption is that European car manufacturers, I think, didn't believe 2 years ago that the demand for the clean vehicles will grow so quickly, and that actually these electric vehicles would become so attractive, so popular, that it would become a buzzword. And I think when we look through the recent opinion polls, what especially the millennial generation would prefer. So clearly they want car sharing, they want clean cars, and for them, unfortunately, the most attractive mark is none of the European ones, but the American one. And therefore, I think we just have to kind of put up with this competition and see it as a challenge for the global competitors, that we again want to have the coolest car, best cars, cleanest car, safest car manufactured here in Europe, and that if it comes to Brussels, that I would like that the Brussels taxi drivers would use the European electric cars and not the Chinese one. I think that at this stage it was very important, I would say, alarm which was triggered, and now I see how not only the political world, regulators, but also car manufacturers are really preparing a lot of new models which will be rolled out within the next 2 years. I think I heard in Volkswagen that they are thinking about 80 new models with electric element, and I'm sure that with our manufacturing excellence in Europe, that we will definitely be the best in producing super clean cars. But
maybe we are the best. How can we become the cheapest?
I think
we produce in digital factories where nobody works. What could be the
I think that when I was talking to the Volkswagen management, so for them, of course, there have been the 3 factors which are very important to place the factory in Europe. This is, of course, cost of energy. These are the raw materials, and this is the cost of labor. So, but this is, of course, the challenge not only for this segment of the industry, but this is a challenge for all industries we have in Europe, and still we are doing very well. So, of course, we have to take one by one and learn how we can manufacture the batteries which would be more performant, which would respect this green concept, and where we use our mass production skills, robotization and artificial intelligence in a way that there would be not that much difference when you actually manufacture it. But what would be very important for the European car manufacturers would be the fact that batteries are manufactured here. You do not have to ship it across the globe. You do not have to count all the carbon footprint to ship it here or deliver it by plane. And of course, I'm absolutely convinced that our electricity used for production of the green batteries would be the cleanest of all, because this is where we are heading. I mean, European electricity production is cleanest today and will be definitely cleanest from all our competitors by 2030. So all this would play a very significant role, not only in giving this green label to the batteries, but pushing the costs for energy, for labor down, and to have just-in-time delivery of the battery. So you don't have to wait until it's actually shipped across the world, but to have it, I would say, in a next-door manufacturing hall. It's also the big advantage. You can control the quality, you can control the delivery time, and you will be the master of the software which is used for the battery. And all this, I think, it's very important for manufacturing.
And if I understand you right, you also build a brand with that, and they say, well, my battery electric vehicle has to have European batteries in it because they are produced clean. That's the brand.
I think that would clearly be a selling point. And when I visited the BMW factory in Leipzig, where they're producing the electric vehicles, I very much like the concept, because they go to the latest detail of the raw materials on the fact that they use only renewable energy for manufacturing of these electric cars. So I mean, if you buy the cars like that, you know that it was produced in a sustainable way, that the renewable energy was used, and that you actually go with the full cycle as a very responsible consumer. And I think this is what will be more and more demanded on the market. And therefore, I believe that it would be a very important selling point. And when I see how the cost of renewable energy is dramatically falling down, I think that that would also play a very important factor in the cost assessment in the future.
Commissioner, did it discourage you that Bosch recently decided against the battery cell production in Germany?
I have to say that I very much appreciate the fact that the CEO of Bosch called me in advance and explained the reason for that. And I think that for their business strategy, as if I understood correctly, it's very important that they could be not only excellent with the segment they produce, but they want to have a certain, if I remember correctly, 20% market share. And I understand that it might be a challenge at this stage, but they told me that they would be very, very active in all phases of the battery production. They are just not sure how quickly they can master the excellence in fuel cell manufacturing. But I think we have other companies which are very ambitious, which are part of this German consortium TerraE, where you have a lot of very important companies already involved. So I just hope that all that spare parts giants, which are so important for automotive industry, would see it also from this aspect that what kind of market we would have in Europe. According to our calculation, by 2025, the annual market for batteries would be 250 billion euros. That's a lot of money. And Europeans would need around 200 gigawatt hours of the battery capacity just for the cars. But worldwide, it's the figure which is between 600 to 900, as I learned yesterday. So, I mean, there is a huge global market which is being created. And I think it should be, I would say, entrepreneurial strategy. And it should be also the industrial strategy which would really factor this in planning for the future. And I think that the fact that we would have cleanest electricity, that we have manufacturing skills, the fact that we are so strong in research and innovation, and on top of it there will be a lot of public support, not only from the people but also from the governments, regulators. I think that all this plays into the direction that we should be very strong in battery manufacturing as well.
There is public support as well from the new German government. In their agreement, they wrote they support battery production as long as it's in Germany. You rather think about Slovakia, don't you?
No. Here, honestly, I think that what we need is a European approach, because even I would say in this German consortium, you have very close collaboration with the companies like Umicore from Belgium, or you have very strong Finnish interest or Swedish interest because of the raw material. So I think that we would have a European-wide consortia, and the market would be quite big, because what we need, it's our initial assessment, which was supported by the industry. We need between 10 to 20 gigafactories in Europe. So there is enough place for everyone. But what is important to build these economies of scale and make very clear that this is not only industrial but also political priority for Europe. And therefore I was very glad that the batteries and even our instrument for promotion of the common European technologies, this Brussels abbreviation IPSAID, made it even into the coalition agreement, because I think we need everything what we have at our power to promote this technology, even the legal state aid, which is possible and which I hope will be good news for all those who are thinking about the initial costs, who are thinking about, how to do it in this environment, that you can get the support from Research and Innovation Fund from Europe. You can get the support from European Investment Bank, from your national government, and on top of it, we can think about special purpose vehicles in a form of legal state aid, which can support this type of factories of the future.
Commissioner Šefčovič, it was a pleasure talking with you about the EU Green Battery Alliance. Thank you for being here in the group exhibit Hydrogen Fuel Cell and Batteries. Thank you for having this discussion with you, and thank you, dear audience.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you.